So tort affecting person's body, that part we covered. Today we will see affecting reputation. Okay. So when we talk about tort affecting reputation of a person, we talk about defamation. Okay. Defamation is both a civil as well as criminal wrong. In case of civil, person will get compensation. When we talk about criminal, the person can file a case under IPC as well, right? 499, 500, and then maximum is like 2 years of punishment along with fine. So that is the provision in criminal law. But in case of civil, person can claim compensation depending on the loss suffered by the person. A lot of factors will be taken into consideration there. So now man's reputation is considered to be his property, even more precious than property. Defamation is an injury to the reputation of a person. It is classified in two different categories. Okay, so when we talk about defamation, there are two different types of defamation, one being libel, another being slander. Now the distinction between both these are that libel is addressed to the eye, while slander is addressed to the ear. Slander is publication of defamatory statement in a transient form. Now, what is publication that we say? What do you think is a publication?
Something which is the matter which reaches the people.
Reaches the people. Okay.
Yeah, through newspaper, TV, radio, telecasting, publication, all that.
Yes, so commonly we mean that, yes, publication means like publishing something somewhere, right? Like a website or might be TV, radio, etc. But for defamation, publication does not only mean like telecasting something somewhere, but it might even mean like me telling you something, that is also publication. Okay, so it is having like a wider meaning than what we otherwise use as publication. So what is publication when we use it in terms of defamation? It means letting a third person know. You might let the third person know by your, like making some signs and stuff. That is also enough. So publication do not mean like the formal publication that we see. Even in between friends, by your gestures, you are letting something know, that is also publication. Okay, so publication is letting some third person know. Now, from where this third person is coming? Take, for example, there are two persons, okay, A and B. And there is one more person, C. A, B, and C, there are three persons. Now, A and B are maybe good friends, but A do not like this other classmate who is C. Okay, there are three classmates A, B, and C. A do not like C. Now what A is doing is A is telling some defamatory statements about C to B. So B will be a third person because A did not like C. It was between both of them. When A publishes it to another person, when A lets a third person know about it, it becomes defamation. Okay, if A do not like C, okay, fine, there might be certain things which you do not like about a person. A could have directly come to C. He could have told that, okay, these are certain things that might be you should change about yourself. That will not be defamation because you are directly going to the person and you are sharing your feedback. That's not defamation, but it's defamation when you let a third person know about it. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, the one what we discussed about this one, ma'am, the eye while slandered to the ear. Ma'am, what is it actually?
Yeah, we will come to that. We have these explanations also. We will come to that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. But see, when I say that, okay, fine, A do not like C and A lets B know about it, it will not be defamation if A is saying something like which is true. Okay, it might happen that A do not like C because might be they all are like government officers. A do not like C because C takes bribe from public. Okay, if C really takes bribe and A can prove that yes, whatever I said, that's the truth. He is actually taking bribe. That is not defamation. Okay, so defamation is a defamatory statement that is made, and it has to be like a false statement. If it's a truth, then that's not defamation, because you yourself are taking bribe. Then how come it's defamatory for you? You are doing the act yourself, right? So whatever A is telling B about C, it has to be defamatory, plus it has to be something which is not true. If that is true and they can prove it, that's not defamation. Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, examples of it may be spoken words. Libel is a representation made in some permanent form, for example, writing, painting, picture, effigy, statute, etc. Now, when we talk about libel and slander, right, what happens here? Slander, libel. So you can just remember S for slander, S for spoken. Okay, like that also you can remember. Libel is like a permanent form. It's like a temporary form. This part you need to remember. What happens is, what is slander? Take for example, A do not like B, A do not like C. A goes to B and says, you know what, I don't like C because of so and so reason. Now, when they are having this discussion, it is by way of spoken words. Whoever is present in the room, only they will come to know about it, right? If it's only A and B who were there in the room, once the conversation is ended, once the conversation ends, after that does not matter whoever else is entering the room, they will not come to know about it, right? Whatever discussions happen between A and B. So it's like a temporary form, temporarily for that moment, while A and B were having the discussion, at that moment, whoever was present, only they will come to know about it. If someone was not present, they will not come to know about it. As in, it's a temporary form. For a certain period, it exists. After that, there is no possibility that again somebody else would come to know about it. Okay, so slender is something which is like a temporary form, and it is addressed to the ear, because you are speaking to the other person will hear, and the other person will also feel that, okay, fine, maybe C is actually not a good person, right? Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So this much you need to remember. It's very important. Other things you will be able to write yourself. Slender, as for spoken, it's mostly like spoken words. Because it's spoken, whoever is present at the moment, only they will come to know about it. So it's temporary. Plus it is addressed to the ear. Next is libel, which is like a permanent form, and it is mostly addressed to the eyes. Okay, mostly. Now, what it might be that someone writes and publishes a defamatory article, or might be, mostly we see, right, cartoonist, they will draw a cartoon of some political person or some famous personality, and then there will be a case against them for defamation. Have you heard of these kind of things? They will draw cartoons in newspapers or in websites and stuff, and then a case is filed, defamation, right? There are cases filed against some stand-up comedian. They also would say something. After that, it is being filed. Now, what happens here is it is in a permanent form, all right? Might be there is an artist or there is a cartoonist, okay? And this person, like publishes something on a newspaper. Or might be there is an article which is published in a newspaper, but now this newspaper is like very new, okay? It was newly launched, might be like 3 days back, and it is actually not having any customers, okay? There might be just 3 people who are buying this newspaper, and those 3 people are also like buying it for the sake of buying. They are not actually reading or like opening the newspaper. There are some people, right, who just take it for the namesake. They would not read it. Might be there are just 3 people who are buying this newspaper because it's a very new newspaper, and even they are not reading it. So what happens here? Article has been published, but actually nobody has read this article. Even though it got published in the newspaper, nobody read this article. But there is a possibility that at a later stage, people might come to know about it, even though newspaper is something which comes daily basis or weekly basis. Even then, there is a possibility, might be after 1 year, somebody reads the newspaper. Maybe out of these 3 people, one person was just keeping the newspaper, and then once he sold it to the nearby store, and that owner of the store, he used that newspaper to wrap certain things which he was selling. Right? Maybe a customer went there, he got a piece of that newspaper, and he opened and actually started reading it, and there that article or that certain cartoon character was there. As in, after 1 year, he came to know about it. Right? There is always a possibility. That's why we say it is in a permanent form. Once it is there, means there is always possibility that somewhere it might be stored. Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Same ways you might see there is something which is published on a website. Okay, some maybe defamatory article is published, or might be some post is being published. Okay, a post is being published on some social networking site, and after publishing, maybe the person realized and he removed the post, he deleted it. Okay, he deleted the post after maybe 1 hour. But there is every possibility that within that 1 hour, maybe nobody read it. But might be, I was just scrolling through that social media platform. I came across that article. That moment I was busy, I was involved in something. So what I thought is, I took a screenshot of that, and I thought that, okay, fine, later on when I have time, when I'm free, I will read this article properly. Right? So I took a screenshot to ensure that it did not get missed somewhere. So I took a screenshot. So even though after 1 hour it is deleted, there is every possibility that at a later stage, might be after 1 or 2 days, I will read that article. And I might share it somewhere. I might share with somebody else also. Right? So there is every possibility that it, even though it's deleted, it might still be stored somewhere on the website, or somebody might have taken a screenshot and stuff. It might still get spread. That's why we say it is in a permanent form. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. But there are so many ways to later prove that it is not my article or something. It is an edited or something. We can prove later, no, ma'am. Like,
how can you prove that?
Imagine I've put some status which is defamating somebody. Okay. If he take the screenshot up, then I'll delete it after 1 hour. But he'll be having the screenshot. If he can fail while proving, no, ma'am. Like, if I say that I've never put that status, I can put fake status on your name also, like saying that you have like spoiled my reputation putting this status on your WhatsApp. So I can produce fake also, no? So in such thing, do you think?
Yeah, so in these cases, right, they do not just take a decision while collecting evidence and everything. They even take help, like cyber cell and everything, they take help. Okay. And they do ensure, is it from this certain profile, or is it a fake one? Those things are taken into consideration while taking evidence.
Okay, fine.
Right, that's why there was so much of thing going on that WhatsApp should be disclosing the details from where a certain fake message originated. Right, they were claiming that it should be disclosed, but then WhatsApp was not disclosing. Then Indian government was like, okay, we will ban WhatsApp in itself. All these things happened, right? So they do not just rely on a screenshot, but all these evidences are also taken. Is it from that website, certain profile or not?
Later, what happened, ma'am? That case, ma'am?
It's not like a case. Government was issuing some notifications and everything. Now also this right to privacy, it's continuing, right? So let's see what happens once it passes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we have requisites of defamation. So there are certain requirements for a certain thing to be defamatory. First of all, the words must be defamatory. The defamatory word should directly or indirectly refer to the person defamed, and publication of words by any medium should take place. So what is defamatory words? Defamatory words or statements are those which cause an injury to the reputation. Reputation is injured when one is lowered in estimation of members of the society generally, or when it is avoided by others and others shun his company. So usually it happens, right? Might be you were friends with another person and then later on another friend tells you that this person is like this, and you feel like, okay, fine, maybe this person is not good, I should not talk to this person too much, or I should not like be friend with this person. Like that it happens, as in we start disliking the person or we start to avoid that person. That's nothing but defamation. That just because somebody told something about this person, we try to stop, we try to avoid the person, we try to stop being friends. That is nothing but defamatory, as in it lowered that person's repo in front of our eyes. Okay, so defamatory words is very much necessary. So this case, I think we discussed before also. There was a publication that the plaintiff had given birth to twins in good faith, but reality was that plaintiff got married just 2 months before, and the plaintiff was like offended by it, and plaintiff filed a case. Defendant said that, oh, it happened by mistake, but defendant was made liable for the offense of defamation because the element of good faith is immaterial. You cannot say that, okay, I was not having any bad intention as such, I thought it's true, so only I published. Like when you are publishing something about somebody else, you should at least try to see, is it a genuine statement or not? You should not just be saying something and then later on be like, I was not having any bad intention. This is what we say, right? Intention is not relevant. What is relevant is that person's reputation is affected. The person is offended by it, so that's more important rather than good faith or intention being relevant over here. Okay. Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Second one is that the words must refer to the person defamed. There are some situations where a person might put a, like a very vague sort of status that this is what has happened to me, and they do not refer any specific person who did it. And then there might be like 10 of that person's friends who would start thinking that, is this person referring to me? Did I do something bad to this person? Like that it happens. So it should not happen that just I am thinking that, okay, this person is referring to me only. It should not happen like that. Okay, it must be that the words must refer to the person defamed. If I'm going to the court and complaining about it, it should happen that the person was actually meaning me. It's not that only I'm thinking that, okay, might be he was referring to me and things like that. Okay, it should actually be that the person is referring to me. In any action for defamation, the person defamed must establish that the defamatory words or statement refer to him. In other words, defamatory statement was such that defamed person would reasonably interfere in for that the statement was directed against him. So the person was having enough of reasons or grounds to believe that, yes, it is something which refers to me only, right? Like you might say that, okay, the topper of our class is like this, as in there will be only one topper in your class, right? So in such a case, it's well evident, even though you are not taking name of the person, it's very clear whom you are referring to. Other people will also understand, right? Like that, it has to be something where the person can show that, yes, actually, this person was referring to me. It's not just that I am inferring or I am thinking. Actually, this is what had happened. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Third one is that publication of defamatory material. No defamation will be constituted, okay, unless defamatory statement or material is published. So publication is like very important for defamation. Publication does not mean publishing in press or in leaflets or something. if it is brought to the notice or knowledge of persons, or even to a single person other than the defamed person, other than the person whom you are referring, if you are telling it to any third person, that amounts to publication. It might be by spoken words, by simple gestures, signs, picture, anything it might be. If a defamatory matter enclosed in an envelope is not published, dictating a defamatory letter to a stenographer or a typist is publication, but not to a private secretary. It might happen that a person do not like certain things about another. What he can do? He can write a letter that these are the things that you should improve in yourself. And he posts that letter directly to that person's address in a sealed envelope. In such a case, he is not publishing, he is not disclosing it to some third person, right? He has properly sealed the envelope, he has posted it directly to that person's address. That's not defamation. But if the same thing he writes in a postcard, is it defamation or not?
Ma'am?
In a sealed envelope, it's not defamation. If you are writing a letter, defamatory letter, and you are posting it directly to that person's address, it's not defamation. But what about writing the same thing in a postcard?
That is open, that is a defamation again.
That is open, yes. Does not matter whether actually the postmaster read it or not, somebody in the post office read it or not, but it still is defamation because it's open. There is every possibility that if someone wants to...
Leakage of the information.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when we talk about dictating something to another person, right? There are a lot of government officers and stuff who would have a private secretary only for the purpose of typing things and stuff, right? In such cases, if maybe the registrar of an university is dictating something to the personal secretary that, okay, fine, you just type this certain letter. That's not defamation because he is, you know, like, they both are related to one another in such a way that the registrar is having a, you know, like a personal secretary. So they both are in that same relation only. So there it's not defamation. But if the same thing is dictated to a stenographer or a typist or some other third person, that is considered as defamation because private secretary is appointed for that purpose only. So it's not considered defamation. If a third person opens the letter not meant for him wrongly, for instance, the father reads the letter meant for his son or servant reads the letter meant for his master, there is no publication because from the end of the person who was sending it, he tried all his best. He mentioned name of the person, his proper address. Ideally, somebody else should not open another person's letter, right? In his family, if someone is opening, there this person is not having any fault because he ensured that, okay, this letter is addressed to this person only, right? He made it sure, but even after that, if someone is wrongfully reading it, there we cannot make that person liable. But if defamatory letter is written on a postcard or a telegram, it will amount to communication of defamation irrespective of the fact whether somebody actually read it or not. If a letter is written in a language which the defamer does not understand and therefore has to be read by somebody else, it amounts to communication. If one spouse writes a defamatory letter to the other, there is no defamation as there is no publication. Like between husband and wife, it's considered as privileged communication. So there it's not defamation again. Okay. Otherwise, to some other person, if it's disclosed, it is considered as defamation. So we have this case also.
And that means the letter which is sent to husband, if it is read by the wife, then the husband can't put defamation case on me, something like
anyways,
that. Right?
Can't put because letter was addressed to husband. If somebody from his family reads it, that's not mistake of the person who was sending it. That's problem in their family.
Okay.
So the husband wrote number of defamatory letters to his wife about his father-in-law. Wife passed on these letters to the father. Father-in-law sued for defamation. The husband claimed privilege under section 122 of Indian Evidence Act, like the privileged communication that we see. Say, Supreme Court took the view that if such letters fall into the hands of defamed person, he can prove them in any other manner, and if proved, the action for defamation will lie. If a third person writes a defamatory letter about one spouse to the other in such a manner that the former is most likely to read it, there is sufficient communication. So if you are writing a letter between husband and wife, that is not defamation. But if you are writing the letter to the wife, but you are writing it in such a way that you are making sure that not my wife, but rather her father will read this letter, in that case, we will say it is defamation. Okay, might be in the letter inside you are addressing to your wife only, but outside you have mentioned father's name or to the family, like that you have addressed. So that you are making sure that the father, it's better if father only reads it, he will come to know. But inside you are mentioning wife. So that will not be considered as valid. Otherwise, between husband and wife, whatever communication is there, that is not considered as defamation. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the three essentials which we have for defamation. Now there are certain defenses as well. Okay, fine, cases being filed against the person for defamation. But what are the different ways by which he can, like try to seek protection? That, okay, well, I have published it, but it's not defamation. Okay, how can he say that? There are three defenses that we have. First one being justification or truth. So first one being justification or truth. If in defamation, there cannot be a better defense than that of truth, as the law will not permit a man to recover damages in respect of any injury and character which he either does not or ought not to possess. The difference is still available even though the statement is made maliciously. Okay, this defense is still available even though it is made maliciously. Defense is available if the statement is substantially correct, though incorrect in respect of certain minor details. Now, justification or truth has it. Whatever I'm saying, might be it is defamatory, might be it is disrespectful or whatever, it is true. Okay, or I'm justified in saying that. That is like an absolute defense that we have in case of defamation. Okay, because whatever I was saying, that was the truth. You actually are not a good person, so this article was published. There you cannot claim for damages. Okay, this is the first defense available. Now it says this defense can be availed. Okay, it might happen that I'm writing an entire article and there might be few mistakes here and there. Right, I might be writing an article about a certain public officer and I'm saying that this public officer is taking bribe from public. For the last 5 years, he is taking bribes from so many people and he has taken this much amount of bribe. Okay, while mentioning this entire thing, might be I mentioned 5 years, but he is actually taking bribe for 4.5 years only, not 5 years completely. So he cannot say that, okay, this is wrong. I was taking bribe only for 4.5 years and this person is publishing an article saying for 5 years I'm taking bribe. So that will not be like a ground that court would accept. Court would say that mostly whatever is written in this article is correct. Here and there, some small mistakes might be there that we should ignore. Okay, is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so based on this last point, right, we have this case also. There was a case, Alexander versus Northeastern Railway. What happened in this case was the plaintiff was convicted because he was riding from like one station to another station without having a valid ticket. Okay, he was not having a valid ticket. He got inside a train and he traveled from one place to another place. And he was found guilty of this offense. And he was sentenced to a fine of £1 or 14 days of imprisonment. As in, you either pay this fine or you go to jail for 14 years. Okay, it is or. So this was the punishment which was given in alternative for traveling on train without an appropriate ticket. So once he was found guilty, he was given this punishment. You either pay the compensation or you go to jail for 14 days in alternative. Now, the defendant published at their station a notice stating that the plaintiff had been convicted of riding in a train without ticket and sentenced to a fine of £1 and the alternative of 3 weeks of imprisonment in default of payment. Now what happened? They published the notice so that other people would come to know about it and they would be, like more careful that, okay, fine, we should buy the ticket properly. Otherwise, we would also get same kind of punishment, right? But while publishing this notice, there was a mistake. What was the mistake? This part was fine. It was 14 days of imprisonment, but by mistake, they mentioned 3 weeks of imprisonment. So 14 weeks as in it's 2 weeks, but by mistake, they mentioned 3 weeks of imprisonment. That was the mistake. Otherwise, everything was fine in the notice. So case was filed by this person, that is defamatory. It is something which is not wrong. So what was the issue? The plaintiff alleged that the defendant had committed libel by describing the penalty issued to him incorrectly. It was incorrect. In place of 2 weeks, it was mentioned as 3 weeks. So he filed the case. Defendant argued that the conviction was described with substantial and sufficient accuracy, and the words so far as they differed in their literal meaning from the words in conviction are not libelous. The railway authorities said that, okay, fine, whatever we mention in the notice, mostly it's correct only. There was one small mistake. In place of 2 weeks, we mentioned 3 weeks. As such, the difference of 1 week does not make it libelous, right? If it's defamatory, means he was actually traveling without a ticket. He was actually convicted. He actually got the punishment. So as such, this small difference of 1 week does not make it like defamatory or something. What was held by the court? The judgment was given in favor of defendant, in favor of railway authorities it was given, and it was held by the court that defendants were not liable as the notice was substantially accurate. Mostly it was correct only, just a minor mistake was there. That does not make it any sort of defamatory or something, because it is a truth, whatever is written. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Next one we have is fair comment. The second defense to an action for defamation is that the statement was a fair comment in public interest. Comment means expression of an opinion. Essentials of this defense are: it must be a comment, that is expression of opinion. Comment must be fair, and comment must be made in public interest. There are certain services, there are certain goods that you purchase, and sometimes you do not like it, right? And you might publish something on the website or somewhere on the social networking site. There you can say it is fair comment. Like might be you are opting for internet services from Act Fiber. Okay, and what has happened is you realize that initially when they started providing the service, it was pretty good. But now what has happened, there is frequent internet is getting disconnected. Their customer support executive are not very much supportive. They are taking 2-3 days to get it fixed. Once it fixed, again, it is happening again and again. So you are not happy with the services and you posted the same thing, might be on their Facebook page, on Twitter handle and stuff. Okay, in such a case, if they are saying that how come you publish this, it's affecting our reputation, new customers would think twice before taking the services, there you can say that it's a fair comment, right? I'm actually not liking the services. You can see the records. I have raised so many tickets and my internet issue is not getting fixed. Again and again, I'm having this problem. right? As in it's a fair comment. You actually have an opinion and you are sharing it, and you are sharing it in common interest of the public, right? You want people to know that if you are opting for an internet service, you want it to work properly. If it's not working properly, means it's not of any use, right? So you are just expressing your opinion, and it was like a comment was also fair. It's not that you are a rival company, you are from Jio, just to degrade them you are publishing or something. You are a genuine customer, not happy with the service, and you are publishing it, right? So that's nothing but fair comment. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Third is privilege. This is also one of the fundamental principles, that there are circumstances when freedom of speech has privilege, and even if it is defamatory, it is protected. The individual's right to reputation is subordinate to privilege of freedom of speech. This privilege may be absolute or qualified. So when we talk about privilege, there might be certain things which can be published. Okay, take for example, there is a case filed against a person. Okay, now when a case is being filed, you would see the decision would come, it's available online, right? These days, everything is available online. You can see copies of each and every single order, judgment, everything you can see. So a person cannot say that it is, like affecting my reputation. Case was filed, I am convicted, that is fine, I am serving the punishment, but it should not be available on a public platform. It should not be available on public domain. But courts might say that it's a privilege that they have. They should make these things public, right? Because courts are again opting for e-court and all that stuff, right? So things are made online available. So they might say that it's something which they are doing to keep the records available online, make the things proper and transparent, they are doing it. So as such, the person cannot say that, okay, I have committed a crime, means you give me the punishment, but no need to publish the judgment or everything online, right? That cannot be said, because that's the process which is being followed. Okay, is it clear? The department is sort of having the authority that they can make it public.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this part clear? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Hey, before we continue, I wanted to inform you about my live mentorship program for LLB students or law aspirants. Law subjects and law topics need detailed clarity. We get that with the help of cases, examples, and detailed explanation. It's definitely not possible to include everything in these short videos. If you find my videos easy to understand and you are looking for some professional help in preparing for your examination, you can join my live mentorship program. Here you will be getting exam tips, answer writing skills, detailed notes that you can refer for your examination, cases, examples, and in a very easy way, topics will be explained. I have live classes going on for a lot of subjects as of now. To know more about it, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. I'm also helping a lot of students in writing their assignments. If you need any such help or for any queries, any suggestions, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. And now let's continue with our video.